Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're uncorking a story that's maybe more complex, more surprising than you might think. The history of wine in America. We'll trace its journey, from ambitious beginnings right up to global recognition. We'll uncover some pivotal moments, some unlikely heroes along the way.
Definitely.
And our mission here in this deep dive is really to distill the most important insights from our sources, give you a clear path to understanding how American wine became the cultural and economic force it is today.
And it really is a remarkable narrative. It's not just about grapes and bottles, is it? It's a story woven with threads of reinvention, pure ambition, and just incredible resilience. And what's really striking, I think, is that the U.S. now stands as the fourth largest wine producer globally. That's huge.
Wow.
It's a real testament to centuries of, pushing through against the odds.
Okay, so let's journey back, way back to the beginning. Picture those early European settlers arriving, right? Carefully carrying their prized Vitis vinifera cuttings.
Yeah, the classic European wine grapes.
They were hoping to just, transplant their old world vineyards, maybe recreate a little bit of home. But America's native environment, it had entirely other plans.
It certainly did. They found themselves pretty quickly in what you could call a grape showdown.
The showdown.
Yeah. Native American grapes, things like muscadine or scuppernong, they grew really well here. Thrived, actually.
Okay, so what was the problem?
The problem was the wine they made from them. The settlers often described it as, fox-flavored swill.
Ooh, foxy. Not good.
Not good at all. They really detested it. Thomas Jefferson, for example, famously tried cultivating European vines at Monticello.
Right, I've heard about that. Didn't go well.
Not at all. His efforts essentially turned his vineyards into a cemetery for French vines, as one source put it.
Wow.
His journal from 1782 is quite telling. He's lamenting, black rot took the chasselas, mildew destroyed the Malbec. It was just this continuous, frustrating battle for him.
So it wasn't just about taste, or the soil even. It sounds like the American climate itself was the real challenge for these European grapes.
That's precisely right. Those humid American summers, they were the real culprit. Perfect conditions for fungal diseases that European vines just weren't equipped to handle.
Yeah.
And then came, the true catastrophe, phylloxera.
Ah, phylloxera, the famous villain.
The villain indeed. Tiny, microscopic, root-eating insects. They just swept through vineyards, causing, widespread devastation.
How bad was it?
Well, by 1854, our sources show that 90% of New York vineyards were basically ghost towns.
90%, that's almost total wipeout.
It was a botanical bloodbath, as some called it. It seemed insurmountable.
Right.
And this is crucial. This is where American ingenuity really sparked.
Okay.
A German immigrant, George Husmann, pioneered this revolutionary technique of grafting European vines onto hardy, disease-resistant American rootstock. Native roots.
Grafting, so putting the European top onto American roots.
Exactly, a kind of Frankenstein vine, but it worked. This hack, this innovation born out of pure desperation, later famously saved France's entire wine industry when phylloxera hit Europe.
That's incredible how setbacks spark innovation. So this struggle, it didn't end American wine, it actually forced a kind of grape revolution.
That's a great way to put it. The key takeaway was that adapting wasn't just about survival, it was about creating something totally new.
Right.
Since Vitis vinifera just kept failing, American growers focused on developing hybrid varieties, things like Catawba and Isabella.
Hybrids, mixing American and European traits.
Precisely. They were true climate warriors, blending that old-world elegance people wanted with the grit needed to survive here. Alexander grapes became America's first commercially successful hybrid. And what's really striking is, by 1850, Ohio's Catawba wines made from a hybrid were actually outselling European imports.
No kidding. In Ohio.
In Ohio. These innovative grapes, these Franken grapes, if you will, transformed areas that were previously marginal into viable vineyards.
And it wasn't just the grapes changing things. Technology must have played a part too, right? In actually making the wine.
Oh, absolutely. The arrival of innovations like stainless steel tanks and cold fermentation, particularly in the 1960s, that was a true game changer.
How so?
Well, pioneers like, say, Stag's Leap wine cellars used these tools to craft Cabernets that could genuinely rival the top wines of Bordeaux. There's a great vintner quote that sums it up. We stopped guessing and started controlling.
Stopped guessing and started controlling. I like that.
It captures the shift perfectly, mastering things like canopy management, controlling leaf growth for the right sun exposure and soil mapping, really understanding the dirt. Meter by meter, it turned winemaking from, well, a gamble into more of a precision art.
Right. Leading to better quality, more consistency.
Exactly. Unprecedented consistency and quality.
So beyond the grapes and the gadgets, the story is also really about the people, isn't it? And maybe the rule, the policies.
Oh, profoundly so. You can think of them as the immigrant alchemists.
Alchemists.
Yeah. German settlers in Missouri, for instance, were crucial in proving that these hybrid grapes could really shine if handled correctly. And then you have the Italian families, like the Seghesios in California. They brought Old World craft, blended it with New World hustle, and really transformed the landscape.
Any numbers on that?
Get this. By 1900, these immigrant communities were operating something like 40% of Sonoma's wineries.
40%? That's huge.
Their cellars must have been buzzing with ambition. And it's worth mentioning Brotherhood Winery, established way back in 1839. It's America's oldest continuously operating winery, a real symbol of that enduring legacy.
Oldest continuously operating. Wow. So individuals, families, they were key.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the government? Did policy help or hinder things early on?
Policy definitely played a big part in, let's say, uncorking growth. Congress funded agricultural societies back in 1862 specifically to boost grape growing.
Okay.
Then some states, like Ohio again, actually mandated planting vines on public land. It was basically a botanical stimulus package.
A botanical stimulant.
Yeah, exactly. And then later, after Prohibition, which we definitely need to talk about tax breaks for small wineries, really sparked a boom in the 1940s. So when you look at the big picture, today's, $35 billion industry, it owes a lot to these historical mashups of individual drive and government support.
Right. Okay, you mentioned Prohibition. Let's go there. 1920. This huge sledgehammer hits the industry. But American wine culture, it didn't just die, did it? It kind of went underground.
It was a really fascinating paradox. Commercial wineries shuttered, closed down. But home kitchens across America, they started bubbling with DIY fermentations.
How did that work? Wasn't it illegal?
Well, the Volstead Act, the law enforcing prohibition, had this really interesting loophole. It allowed each household to make up to 200 gallons of wine per year.
200 gallons? Why?
Ostensibly for, sacramental or medicinal purposes, but, well, it was widely used for personal consumption.
I bet.
Immigrant families like the Mondavis, a name many will know now, famously turned their basements into micro wineries.
Taking their own supply.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really clever. East Coast grocers started selling these things called grape bricks. Basically dehydrated grape concentrate.
Grape bricks.
Yeah. And they came with these wonderfully ironic instructions. Don't add yeast or this will ferment. Wink, wink.
Haha. Right. Covering their bases legally.
Precisely. It was a clever way to sell what was effectively liquid contraband disguised as, a harmless block of fruit concentrate.
So this crazy period didn't just push winemaking into kitchens. It must have forced some big market shifts, too.
Yeah.
And changes in what grapes people grew.
Oh, absolutely. The industry pivoted into pure survival mode. Vineyards started favoring really thick-skinned grapes, like Alicante Bouschet.
Why those?
Because their tough, almost armor-like skins could actually survive long cross-country rail trips. They were perfect for shipping to all those home winemakers back east.
Ah, makes sense. So demand shifted.
Dramatically. The price for California grapes jumped something like 400% between 1919 and 1924.
400%.
Insane, right? As one grower put it, we sold liquid contraband disguised as jam.
Wow. That era really left its mark, didn't it?
It really left its fingerprints, yeah. When you think about today's arguments over direct-to-consumer shipping for wineries, you can trace the roots of those debates right back to those 1920s rail cars hauling grapes across state lines.
Fascinating connections.
Yeah.
So after surviving all the diseases, the climate, prohibition, what was the moment American wine finally stepped onto the world stage? Was there like a mic drop moment?
Oh, there absolutely was. The 1976 Judgment of Paris. That was it.
The Judgment of Paris. Tell us about it.
It was a blind tasting organized by a British wine merchant in Paris. And, well, Napa Valley's Stag's Leap Cabernet Sauvignon beat out some of the top Bordeaux Chateau. And a California Chardonnay, Chateau Montelena, beat the best white Burgundies.
In a blind tasting by French judges.
By French judges. They were apparently so shocked they asked for their scorecards back, maybe thinking there was a mistake. The organizer, Stephen Spurrier, his reaction summed it up perfectly. This changes everything.
And did it?
It absolutely did. This victory, it wasn't just luck, it showcased decades of hard work refining cultivation, dialing in that fermentation technology we talked about. Suddenly, California wineries weren't just farms anymore. They became pilgrimage sites for wine lovers everywhere, eager to taste what America had finally achieved.
And since 76, American wine has just kept growing, I assume. What do the trends look like?
Oh, consistent growth. The 1990s saw that huge boost. Remember the movie Sideways?
Oh, yeah, the Pinot Noir effect.
Exactly, the Sideways effect. Boosted Pinot Noir sales by like 170%. By the year 2000, Americans were drinking over 800 million gallons a year. Exports were doubling annually.
Wow.
Today, America ships over, I think it's $1.5 billion worth of wine globally. California still dominates, producing about 90% domestically, and it rivals France now in sheer volume.
Rivals France in volume. That's amazing.
And they're still innovating. We're seeing things like drone-monitored vineyards, carbon-neutral wineries popping up, always pushing forward.
And it's not just California now, right? You hear more about other regions.
That's a really important point. We're seeing a genuine East Coast wine renaissance. States like Virginia and New York, they're producing truly exceptional wines. Chris Albarino, age-worthy Cabernet Franc, seriously rivaling some West Coast stuff. And you've got urban wineries, too, in places like Brooklyn or D.C., they're blending tradition with these cool Instagram-friendly tasting rooms, really pulling in a new generation of drinkers, making wine feel more accessible.
That makes sense. But with all this success, what about sustainability? Is the industry thinking about its footprint?
It's a huge topic, and rightly so. While things like organic and biodynamic practices are definitely growing, there are still big questions around, say, water usage, especially out west, and reliance on pesticides.
So it's mixed.
It is. You see pioneers like Tablas Creek in California really championing dry farming, growing grapes with little or no irrigation. And apps like Vivino Low Sulfite are popping up for consumers trying to make eco-conscious choices. It's definitely, as one source said, a work in progress.
Right.
Trying to balance that glamour with responsible practices.
Okay, so pulling it all together. When you hold a glass of American wine today, what are we really holding?
Well, you're not just holding a beverage. You're holding like 3 centuries of relentless hustle.
Right, all that history.
It's innovation born from those failed plantings way back when. It's the massive influence of those immigrant communities we talked about.
Yeah.
It's prohibition acting as this completely wild plot twist. And then Napa's triumph in Paris, the big arrival moment.
So modern American wine is built on all that.
Precisely. Modern production really thrives on that rebellious DNA, that spirit of adaptation and figuring things out. It's this compelling blend of high-tech methods with a real respect for terroir, the unique sense of place.
Soil, climate.
Exactly. And increasingly trying to prioritize sustainability.
And that, for you, is the deep dive into American wine. Each sip really does carry this liquid legacy, doesn't it? You can almost case Thomas Jefferson's early obsession, the grit of those gold rush settlers, maybe the echo of the Mondavi family's kitchen experiments during Prohibition. American wine, I think, really proves that resilience, that adaptation, can forge something truly extraordinary, something that often tastes even better than just sticking strictly to tradition. So what aspects of this whole journey resonate most with you? And maybe what new American wines might you be curious to explore next?